Good evening, folks, and welcome to another episode of the Racket Athlete Podcast. Today we have on Coach Bronson. Coach Bronson didn't start his actual fitness journey until in his late 30s. He was over 70 pounds overweight. He had actual, urgent problems with bowels and health issues. And now at 51, he's transformed his life with fitness and proper nutrition. Bronson has actually spent over a decade coaching and helping people. And also, his mission is to actually help others achieve personal independence. Welcome to the show, Bronson.
Thanks for having me on, Chris. Appreciate it.
No problem at all. So today our conversation is going to be around building confidence through strength and conditioning. So we kind of both have a good knowledge base for this, Bronson, as well. So I feel this is going to be a great chat today.
Yeah, that's it. Confidence through strength and fitness is, I think, really where a lot of people are trying to go. They just don't know it yet.
Oh yeah. It's like just kind of comes to you eventually. But so let's start with what would you say confidence actually is, Bronson, from a perspective of exercise or maybe how you see it developing in people?
Mhm. The the root of confidence is in trust. So we trust things. If we trust something, we have confidence in it. I trust that um, my girlfriend is not going to go out and do all of these different things. So I
Yeah,
have confidence that I can let her go do things on her own. I don't have
yeah,
to babysit her because I
yeah,
trust her,
yeah,
right? I trust that, if you have trust in something, that allows you the confidence to then interact with that thing in a way
yeah,
where you would you're accepting a level of risk because you trust that thing.
yeah,
And confidence in your body is your ability to do things that could be considered risky
yeah,
because you trust that your body can handle it.
yeah. So just to make it quite clear, there's always that little element or a bit of element of risk in which comes with confidence and trust.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah,
Because life is every choice that we make in life has an element of risk.
yeah,
And the more ability you have to manage that risk, another word for risk in a lot of cases, we get that's almost synonymous with stress. The more ability that we have to manage risk or mitigate risk or manage stress or deal with things that we have no control over, the more we can have the confidence to take part in activities because we're not worried about our ability to respond in any given situation.
yeah. So it's that element of trust, that element of confidence comes with an element of risk, as we say. So you're kind of building from. So let's say you've got clients coming in, they coming to you and say, "How do I start with basic confidence?" How would you, or how can we discuss that?
Yeah, show up.
Yeah, that's true.
That's it.
That's
That's all it
true.
is showing up.
Yeah,
If we're
that's true.
talking, if this is a really good example is your target is racket athletes, right?
Yep, yep,
So, I used to play racquetball back in the day. I'm old, so I'm in my 50s. I'm talking in the mid 90s, early to mid 90s. I used
yep,
to play racquetball a lot. I used to
yep.
play um, competitively
Hmm.
way back in the day when I was
Yeah.
in the army.
Okay.
Understanding that the confidence that I got increased the more I did it.
Yeah.
And
So
that's
you,
really all it is. It's
yeah,
show up, put the effort in, and the more you can challenge yourself, show that you're learning, show that you can do the things that are hard, you can get to the next level in the things you can control. And this is the difference. This is where when we equate it to strength training or working out or going to the gym environment, the training environment, the learning environment is controlled stress.
yeah,
It is something that you can apply whatever level of intensity that you want. You can determine how long you want to be there, and you get to set the benchmarks and the goals.
yeah,
That is your daily opportunity to prove to yourself
yeah. I was just about to
that you
say
can
that.
handle, that you can accomplish things and you can handle challenges and you can do hard
Yeah,
things. So when you do that on a consistent basis, now that translates into whether you're talking about you're the 20th ranked person who's going to go play the one ranked person. You have
Hmm.
the confidence because you've done the work,
Yeah.
and you can take on and you can be competitive in that situation. Or if it's just, I don't know if I can handle going on this hike with my family today because there's a high elevation and I can handle it because I know I put in the work in the gym.
Yeah.
So the things that we do in the controlled environment on a regular basis, where we get to control the stress and the challenge, prepare us for life. That's really
Yeah.
what it's all about.
Yeah. But I think as well, what I was going to say is you're kind of like trying to convince yourself every day that this is this is what I can do. I can do this. I can do more every day I go in. I can do more and more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I used to say when I owned my gym that to try to get people to understand why fitness is important is that everything we do in the gym has nothing to do with what we do in the gym,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
right? Everything that we do in the gym has everything to do with how we are able to live our lives and the physical independence that we have
yeah,
as we experience what life has to offer.
yeah. I think you've it's an all round approach, right? So I think depending if it's sport related, your training, or it's daily activity related, and there's always something related to life when you're training in the gym.
Yeah, absolutely. There's too many things in life that we don't have any idea. In CrossFit, we call it being prepared for the unknowable. We have no idea. There's no way that we can predict in any given day what our body is going to be required to do. So the more things that we can expose it to when we have the opportunity to control that exposure, the better off we're going to be.
Yeah. So let's pick up something else then. Obviously, we've spoken a bit about exercise and how it can relate to life, but
Sure.
let's really hone in on that confidence thing again and really
Hmm.
push that a bit more. How can exercise build confidence or strength and conditioning, specifically exercise? How do you see it as building confidence for a person, an everyday person or an everyday athlete that is not in
Yeah.
a sport or competitive?
Yeah. So one of the things that I want to, when we talk about this, I want to make sure everyone is clear on is that confidence is not a feeling. I don't feel confident. You either have confidence or you don't. Okay, so it's not based on how you look. A lot of people will see a fit, strong-looking person
Hmm.
come into a
Hmm.
room,
Hmm.
and they walk in the door, and they act like they own the place, right? They're confident in the way that they carry themselves.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You can
The
see them
posture.
walking around the room, posture, this the way they carry all of that stuff, the way they interact with people, and often we get confused thinking that they are confident because of how they look. That person looks fit. They look better than everybody else. That's where their confidence comes from. That has nothing to do with it. I have talked to hundreds of people that are in very, very good shape. Not a single one of them has said, I'm confident because of how I look.
Yeah,
They have said, I'm confident because I know what I can do,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
right? I am
Yeah,
confident because I am strong. Tell you what, muscle, strength, the ability to move things that are heavy and understand how much effort you're able to put out from a physical perspective, that is competence. Knowing that there is nothing, if I don't want something to happen to me, it's not going to happen to me.
mm,
If I want something, I can go get it.
yeah, yeah,
That is where competence comes from.
yeah. I think you've hit
That is
the
what strength training does for you.
yeah. I think that's right. I mean, it's a lot to do with knowing your ability, and even from a mindset perspective, confidence is a lot to do with, as you say, you have confidence or you may not have confidence. It's not about the look; it's about how you perceive yourself and how you know your abilities well.
Yes, absolutely. Comes with it's I'll just use public speaking as an example.
Oh yeah.
Um, I'm more nervous getting up in front of a group of people when I know in my mind, when I know I haven't prepared adequately.
Mm.
If I
Preparation is
know
key.
something came up, maybe I had a busy schedule, I wasn't able to get my slides exactly how I wanted them. Maybe I didn't rehearse certain sections of my talk as much as I wanted to. If there's things about how I prepared myself for that activity that I'm not happy with or I don't think is up to par, I'm not as confident on stage.
Mm-hmm.
It has
Yeah.
nothing to do with me being comfortable
And
talking in front
and
of people.
and when you're prepared, that builds the confidence, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. When
Yeah.
I'm prepared, when I know that I'm able to perform and that I can do what I need to do because I've practiced it,
Mhm.
confidence on stage is an issue, is not an issue.
Yeah. So let's move on to another aspect that I'd like to obviously dig deeper into. We've touched
Yeah.
on it a little bit, different areas, but what can strength and conditioning do to build confidence for an everyday athlete or, people that you've seen in the past?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, biggest thing is helping people understand that the things that you're trying to do in your life that you want to improve in your life possible.
Yeah.
And that's really the challenge that many people start this journey on facing, thinking incorrectly that they're trying to lose weight.
Oh, yeah.
You're not trying to lose weight. Most of you, if you really sit down and think about what you're trying to do, when we're talking, let's just talk about the weight loss crowd.
Yeah.
People that are trying to lose weight, people that come to me and say, "Hey, I need to lose 40 pounds." Okay, great. Why do you want to lose 40 pounds? And then you dig into what's really driving this desire to lose weight, and it's I can't play with my grandkids like I want to. I can't
Mhm.
go out and garden like I want to. I want to play tennis on a regular basis like I used to in my 30s and 40s, but now I'm 60 and I'm weak, I'm overweight, and I can't enjoy tennis like I used to. Right there, or I can play, but I can only play 1 or 2 games and then I have to stop.
Yeah.
Right, those types of those are, it's about physical limitation.
Daily
It has nothing
movements.
to do with the weight. Right, it has to do with aches and pains and weakness and injury and all these
Yeah.
other things,
Yeah.
things that they no longer have in their life that they want to have back,
Hmm.
that they think is because they gained weight.
Yeah.
And it's not because they gained weight. It's because they let their metabolic function deteriorate. They
Yeah.
let their lean
Yeah.
mass
Yeah.
deteriorate. They
Yeah.
stopped moving their body adequately.
Hmm.
And they did a bunch of things that wasn't,
Didn't
that
benefit.
weren't the best options for them to sustain their physical freedom for longer.
Yeah.
That's what they're really looking for. And that's where strength and conditioning helps everyday people because it allows and opens up the floodgates of experiencing their own personal freedom.
Yeah. I agree with that. I think as well, strength conditioning has obviously got various aspects and it's very athletic. So you can take those aspects and train basically anybody with that sort of
Yeah.
training.
Yeah.
And at
Well,
whatever level.
yeah, that we talk about strength and conditioning from a sports perspective, understanding that um, this is something that thinking about. I was getting ready for this podcast. Now I have a background, so just to let a little bit to let everybody know a little bit. I started almost 15 years ago in health and fitness. I opened a CrossFit gym in 2014. I've been training everyday people. I've trained athletes. I've trained military. I've trained Olympic weightlifting, powerlifting. I've done a lot of different things. I've trained soccer players. I've
Yeah.
trained athletes. And the one common thread across all of the different people I've trained over the past 10 plus years, okay, the foundational concept behind all sport is fitness. You have to be fit before you can be an athlete,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And then at the next level, if we take that another step further, the foundational concept of all athletics, of all sport, let's say all sports, okay, is
Mhm.
athletics. So you can't be a good racquetball player if you're not a good athlete.
Yeah. True.
And you can't be a good athlete, you're not fit,
Yeah.
right? So that gives us, just in a rough estimate, that gives us three different categories that people can fit in. I don't need to be a good racquetball player in order to go in the backyard and play with my grandkids, but I do need to have fitness,
And
right?
functional
I
movement.
might need to, right? I might need to improve my athleticism if my grandkids are 15 years old and they want to play soccer in the backyard. I want
Yeah.
to play with them.
Yeah.
Right? I might need to be a little bit more of an athlete. The level that I need to train my body might be a little bit higher if I want to
Hmm.
participate in that with them.
Hmm.
But the entire process on the spectrum of just being fit, which is a level of physical condition that allows personal freedom.
Yeah.
That's what fitness is. And then to be a specific sport athlete, the two different things. None of the requirements of the modalities, movements, metabolic pathways, training methodologies, none of those change. The only difference is the specificity, how
Yes.
specific is the
Yeah.
training, the frequency, the
Yeah.
intensity, and the
In
duration.
time. Yeah,
That's
exactly.
all that changes. Everything else is the same,
Yeah.
right? A grandmother who is 75 years old needs to squat just as much as a power lifter who's trying to squat 500 pounds,
Hmm.
right? Because the movement is the same. They both got to sit on the pot to go to the bathroom,
Yeah, yeah.
right? That's a
Yeah,
squat.
yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
does the 500-pound back squatter have a higher requirement for intensity and training? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But the movement required from a human function
Human
perspective is the
capacity, yeah.
same.
Same. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's a good point. So you're trying to break it down a bit there and obviously showing people that it can be done, but it doesn't have to be on a sport athletic basis. You can take the functional, you can take the human capacity movement and still train. Because that's what
Mhm.
sometimes that actually hits well into confidence because people will walk into a gym and they'll be like, okay, how am I going to manage to do that? What they've just done,
Right.
they've just done that. How? I mean, look, like they walked in the door and it's like I see somebody squatting 500 pounds, for example, and they're like, okay, this is what this is about. How the heck am I going to do that?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that's a great point because that stops people from even starting sometimes.
Yeah, it
They
does.
look
It
at they
does.
look at that 500-pound squatter and like, well, I could never do that. So then they never try anything.
Yeah, it's
It's
about the
like, no,
slow
that's not
build.
how this works. This
Slow
here's
build.
here's how this works. If you want to build confidence, find something that you're not confident in
Go do it.
and do it until you're confident. That's how you get started. And you can use that to start a fitness program. If you've never done fitness before in your life, what's something that limits you in your life? What's something that you're not confident in? I commonly get it's hard for me to walk up the stairs. I don't feel confident that I can walk up the stairs without assistance.
Hmm.
Okay. Walk up and down the stairs as many times as you need to every day until you don't need assistance.
Yeah,
Then guess what? You'll be confident that you can walk up and down the stairs.
and it also builds that
Takes
courage.
absolutely. It takes repetition and it
Yes.
takes time. If you can do that, you're going to get there. You're going to get more confident.
Yeah.
The first time you do it, you're going to be shaky. You're not going to be sure. You could ask someone for help. You might need to hold someone's hand. That's fine. The 100th time that you do that, you're taking two steps at a time,
Hmm.
right? And you're not having
Yeah.
any questions or problems about doing
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Exactly.
So
It's
that's how confidence works.
repetition over time. I think is a big thing. Consistency over time with yourself when you're in the gym and you're trying to squat and you're it's not quite hitting the either the technique or the number you're looking for, then it's kind of just okay, let's break it down and see where what needs to be looked at, what's limiting me here to be able to get to that next part.
Right. Absolutely. It's just like learning. I mean, we what is a 9 month or 10 month old baby confident in walking?
No,
No,
they have no
they
fear
have no
sometimes,
confidence. They fall on their butt every time they try,
and
right? Every
and they
time,
get up.
just standing up, you know.
Yeah,
But they keep doing it. They keep trying, and that's what some of it. We have to take that infant mentality of I'm
yeah,
just going to keep trying until I get it.
exactly. Yeah, I think that's right. Um, so let's dig into another question about um confidence in S&C. So where do people start to pursue confidence through S&C? Obviously, you've got loads of gyms, loads of facilities. Like obviously, you've talked about facilities and stuff. And if someone's like never done any S&C before, and they want to build confidence in S&C, how would they do that?
But wherever is most comfortable for them, because showing sustainability and consistency is more important than anything else.
Yeah,
So if your strength and conditioning work has to be something where you're sitting in your chair and you're just moving your body around in your chair because standing up from your chair is hard, then do that. Stand up from your chair, right? I tell
yeah,
people all the time, similar to what we just talked about with walking up and down the stairs,
yeah,
the best way to get started building strength and conditioning, because strength and conditioning from a marketing perspective, we're talking about the idea of strength training and conditioning for sports athletes. Okay. That's different. And we could have, if you want to have this conversation, we can definitely have this conversation. There's strength training from the
Yeah.
performance perspective.
Yeah,
And then
absolutely.
there's the strength and conditioning training from the everyday person just trying to get started.
Exactly. That's what I was. Yeah.
So strength and conditioning from the everyday person just trying to get started is find something that is physically challenging and do whatever you can to make it easy.
Yeah.
The only way to do that is progressive overload, volume, intensity,
Hmm.
and time, right?
Yeah.
So you have to progressively make things harder than they were the day before. You have to keep doing it and give it time till it starts working. And of course, we can talk about recovery, right? There's that plays a role as well.
Oh
Get good
yeah.
sleep, all
Big,
that kind of
big,
stuff,
big,
right?
big
So
recovery.
yeah.
Yeah. So I think what a lot of people may not understand when they go into a gym either is we can touch on this is when you go into a gym or you're doing basic movements for exercise, you're actually making micro tears in the muscle when you do the exercise. But the recovery is actually where the building happens with the strength in the muscle and the force,
Mm-hmm.
etc.
Mm-hmm.
And also
I
that's
see
where the
that.
recovery comes in.
Yeah, I see this all the time with athletes, specifically sports. Athletes in a specific sport. It's something about the competitive athletes, actually, not
Mm-hmm.
even just athletes, competitive athletes,
Yeah.
that there is a drive and a misunderstanding, particularly in the non-professional, in the semi-pro and recreational athletics environment. You have a lot of people who don't have coaches who just drive and drive and drive themselves into
Yeah.
the ground because they think
Yeah.
more is more.
Yeah.
They don't understand that you actually could get better if you chilled out a little bit and took some days off, right?
Yeah.
I used to have a client who would play tennis like 3 hours a day, 6 days a week.
Wow.
And it's like, what are you doing? Like, no wonder and then at the end of the season, they're like, how come my ranking dropped? I'm like, well, maybe because you haven't slept or,
Or
maybe you need to
maybe
take
you,
three
yeah.
days a week off and not,
Yeah.
like, it's like, come on, the more is not better all the time.
Yeah.
Or, you have that person who's playing their sport like soccer. I had a client who was playing soccer 2 days a week competitively,
Mm-hmm.
and it was like 2 or 3 games a week. Those 2 days a week was sometimes 2 games in a day. And then it was like 3 days of weight training, 2 days of cardio. It's like you're working out 6 days a week and you're wondering why you get hurt. You're wondering why you're stressed. Your cortisol's high all the time and you can't get sleep. You're
And there's
wondering
no
why
progress.
you're gaining weight. You're wondering why you have to eat less in order to stay lean for your sport. Like all these different things,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
you're screwing all these things up
Yeah.
because you're not resting. You
Yeah.
have to rest.
Yeah.
Growth doesn't happen during the action. It happens when you're not doing anything.
Mm-hmm. That's a big
So,
thing. I notice that as well with clients. It's it's that burning the candle at both ends. They're not taking the time to recover in order to get the
yep.
build from the gym work in order to recover the muscles and the fibers, etc. Um, yeah, that's a great point. I mean, about sorry, recovery. Yeah, recovery. Let's
Mhm.
focus a bit more on recovery. So
Yeah.
let's obviously if people come into a gym and the first thing they'll say to you is how many times a week should I train? And I'd be turning
Right.
around and saying to them, well, okay, you need to train 2 to 3 times a week, and then maybe you need to recover a day between. Would you? How can we go forward? Sorry,
Yeah. Yeah.
everyday
It
athletes, two a
depends on
day.
the person, the
Yeah,
goal.
of course, yeah,
Yeah, the person, the goal, the activity,
yeah,
what kind of training they're doing,
mm-hmm.
what kind of program they're going to follow, right? So, you
Yeah,
know, let's just talk about programs. If I'm following a traditional weight training linear periodization model, where it's, or we would call it a bro split,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Certain exercises every day
mm-hmm.
over a period of time. I'm slowly progressing week, I'm doing the
Yeah,
same workouts on the same days
linears,
every week.
yeah,
Um, then that may have a different impact on my recovery than if I'm doing a conjugate rotation
yeah, undulated,
where I'm getting a variety of exercises where I can go hard 4 or 5 days a week and never actually work the same sets of muscles or the same energy systems. And I
Yeah.
might be able to last a longer period of time doing a more volume of work without affecting my recovery as much. So
Yeah.
the type of activity matters when it comes to recovery.
Yeah.
Just as looking at the same situation,
Mhm.
the person matters. Maybe you're a beginner and your recovery is crap.
Yeah. So in the case of
Right? You work out 1 day and you got to take 5 days off because your whole body hurts for 5 days, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. And then
Yeah.
comes
So
in
right. So
mobility, then comes in stretching.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
So you gotta gauge, and there's a term I think that Dr. Mike Israetel coined, gosh, maybe 5 plus years ago. If you're familiar with Mike Israetel,
Hmm.
Renaissance periodization. Um, saw a video he did several years ago where he introduced the concept of maximum recovery volume.
Yeah,
And that's a really good way to measure over time how much work am I doing? Am I recovering in a reasonable amount of time to be able to do that work again?
yeah.
Right. So
So
if I do a 300-pound squat for 5 reps, 5 sets of 5 reps today,
yeah.
if I can't do that again for 7 days, that was too much.
Also,
Right.
yeah, I was going to say rest in between sets as well is also key, right?
Mm-hmm. Sure. Well, there's so many different variables. Rest in between sets, the length of time per rep.
Yeah,
Am I going slow? Am I going fast?
yeah,
What is the movement?
yeah,
Where was that exercise in the order of events? Did I do the heavy stuff first or the heavy stuff last?
yeah,
Right. So there's all sorts of stuff that plays into it. But basically, the process of finding what the best recovery and how often you should come into the gym is going to be an overtime process of tracking and evaluating what is the program that I'm doing? How do I feel with that program? At what point does my performance start going the opposite direction? That's how I know I need to back off and maybe take a little extra break or
yeah.
reduce the overall volume or do something different
Hmm.
to allow my body to recover better.
Yeah, definitely. So I think let's chat a bit about this new book that's coming out for yourself. Is that right, Bronson? You've got a new
Yeah,
book coming out?
yeah. So I have a book called Body Confident. Yep, I have a book coming out called Body Confident. It should be pre-sale should be hitting in a couple of weeks. Book will actually be published and go live in September after Labor Day in the US.
Nice.
And the idea behind this book is just helping people understand what being body confident is and not focusing on aesthetics, not focusing on uh, the body positive movement. I'm not against being body positive at all, but
Yeah,
I would rather be body confident,
yeah,
right?
yeah. I get it. Yeah,
And
I
I
get
would
it.
rather trust my body
Hmm.
than make myself feel good about my body that still
Yeah,
can't do
I
any
get
of the
it.
things I want it to do.
Yeah. So
Right.
you trust that you
So
can do what you want it to do, basically. That's yeah.
yeah, right. I want people to understand that your ability determines your confidence. And that's really what matters is, are you able to survive in this world? And that's what matters.
Strength.
And
Hmm.
then how to do that, understanding that the principles that work are universal to all human beings,
Yeah,
what those principles are, and that any one protocol isn't the best. This is one of the most frustrating things I have to deal with as a coach, especially being an online kind of personality, is
yeah.
the daily questions I get from people. Hey, Coach Bronson, what's the best this? What's the best that? What's the best this? It's like, guys, there's no such thing as the best.
It's all individual.
It's all individual. It's because your goal is different than somebody else's goal,
Yeah,
and what's
yeah,
best for them is going to
yeah,
be different than what's best for you. So I want people to get this book and understand and learn how to figure out their individual best.
yeah,
And that's what
yeah.
the book is. It's a framework for people to follow to say, what are the things that are important to my progress and how do I prioritize those to come up with a plan just for me?
And where can people purchase this book, Bronson? Where's it going to be?
It'll be on Amazon, it'll be on Barnes and Noble, a couple of different places, but pretty much
Okay,
anywhere you can buy a book, you should be able to get it. Yeah.
nice. Okay, I think we'll end it there, Bronson. But it's been a great chat
Sure.
today. And it's been great to have you on.
Hey, appreciate it, man. Thank you very much. It's been fun.
Okay, folks, that's another episode of the Racket Athlete podcast. and we'll speak to you soon.